You can buy the exact same battery your truck came with from the factory, install it correctly, and your truck can still refuse to recognize it. Not because the part is wrong, because it isn't coded to your truck's VIN number. This is VIN-Lock. On modern trucks, new modules, batteries included, won't function at full capability until they're paired to your specific vehicle identification number using manufacturer software. An identical part, installed perfectly, simply doesn't work until a dealer's tool says it does. Independent shops don't have that tool. They never got access to it. So a job that used to take 15 minutes in your own driveway now requires an appointment, a tow, and a bill. There's a federal bill moving through Congress right now that could force automakers to open that access. It's called the Repair Act. And there's already a fight over what access is even going to mean. This is the VIN-Lock trap. And it's already in your driveway. Here's what's actually happening under the hood, in plain terms. Every truck has a vehicle identification number, a VIN. It's stamped on the frame, printed on your registration, and tied to every record about your truck. On older trucks, that number was just a label. On newer trucks, with networked, computer-controlled modules, it became something else, a lock. A number that used to just identify your truck to the DMV now decides whether your truck will accept the part you just paid for. Some replacement parts, a battery, is the simplest example, now need to be paired to that VIN using manufacturer software before they'll work. Correctly, not installed. Paired, the part itself is fine. The truck's computer is checking whether it's allowed to recognize it. This isn't a rare edge case limited to one brand. It's a pattern that's spread across the industry as trucks added more networked, computer-controlled systems. It started with the parts that made the most sense from a security standpoint, and a battery happens to be one of them. Because a battery touches the truck's entire electrical system. Here's the part that should bother you. Independent repair shops the mechanic down the street. Not the dealership don't have access to the reprogramming protocols or diagnostic codes needed to complete that pairing. Step. Not because they're unqualified. Because they were never given the tool. A standard battery replacement, done the old way, runs somewhere between $150 and $400 depending on the battery and the shop. That's the whole job, parts and labor. The moment VIN pairing enters the picture, that simple job can require dealership-specific equipment that doesn't exist outside the dealership network. The price isn't really about the battery anymore. It's about who's allowed to finish the job. VIN-Lock isn't a safety feature that happens to inconvenience independent shops. The inconvenience is the point. Think about who benefits when a 15-minute driveway job turns into a dealership appointment. Independent shops typically charge $40 to $100 an hour for labor. Dealerships typically charge $75 to $150 an hour, and that's before factoring in the diagnostic fee for the visit itself, and the fact that your truck may need to sit there or get towed there if it won't run properly without the part recognized. As access to parts, diagnostics, firmware, and repair procedures narrows, smaller independent shops can be squeezed out of doing that work at all. That's not a hypothetical. That's the documented trajectory of this technology as it's expanded across more components. And consider which part they chose to lock first in a lot of cases. Not some exotic sensor buried in the engine bay. A battery, the cheapest, simplest, most commonly replaced part on the entire truck. The part nearly every truck owner has swapped themselves at some point in a parking lot with a wrench and 10 minutes. That's the one that now might require a trip to the dealership. This is the same playbook this channel has covered before the dealership becomes the only place that can finish the job, and the bill reflects that. Except this time, the part itself isn't broken. It's being told not to work until someone with the right software says otherwise. This fight didn't start last week, and it isn't being fought quietly. In 2014, automakers and independent repair industry organizations signed a national memorandum of understanding and agreement about how much access independent shops would get to vehicle repair and diagnostic information. That agreement is now over a decade old, and the technology has moved a lot faster than the deal that was supposed to govern it. That's where the Repair Act comes in the first real legislative pushback against exactly what you just read about. The House version is H.R. 1566, introduced in February 2025. The Senate version is S. 1379, introduced in April 2025 by a bipartisan pair of senators, proof this isn't a partisan issue. It's a whose driveway does this affect issue. Both versions would force automakers to give independent repair facilities the same diagnostic codes, calibration tools, and repair information dealerships already have. and would give truck owners direct access to the data their own truck generates about them. As of this video, the House Energy and Commerce Committee has advanced an amended version of these right to repair provisions as part of a broader bill, the Motor Vehicle Modernization Act of 2026, which codifies that original 2014 agreement into something with more teeth. It has not become law yet. It is moving through Congress, one committee vote at a time, while independent mechanics and repair industry groups keep pushing. This is the rebellion that actually matters here, not a workaround, a legislative fight. Every truck owner who has ever paid a dealership markup for a 15-minute job has a stake in whether this passes. So what do you actually do about this right now, before any of that legislation becomes law? First, before you pay for any repair on a newer truck, ask directly whether the part requires VIN pairing or registration after installation. If the answer is yes, ask whether the shop you're at has the tool to do it. Some independent shops have negotiated partial manufacturer data access under that existing 2014 agreement. Coverage varies a lot by brand and by which module is involved, so don't assume either way. Ask before you pay, not after. A wrong assumption here doesn't just cost you the diagnostic fee, it can mean paying twice, once for the part, and again for the only shop in town allowed to make it actually work. Second, if you're shopping for a truck and want to minimize how often you'll run into this, older trucks generally predate the heaviest module networking that makes VIN pairing necessary in the first place. That's a real trade-off. You give up some of the modern safety and efficiency technology that comes with newer electrical architectures, but you gain a truck that's far less likely to tell your own mechanic no. Third, if you want to do something bigger than your own driveway, the Repair Act has bill numbers you can actually look up and reference when you contact your representatives. H.R. 1566 in the House, S. 1379 in the Senate. This isn't an abstract industry fight. It's a specific piece of legislation with a specific number moving through a specific committee right now. None of these are perfect fixes, but all three are real, and all three are available to you today, not in some future where the law has already changed. A truck you paid for in full should answer to you. Right now, on a growing list of components starting with something as basic as the battery under your hood, it answers to whichever computer holds the pairing key. And that computer lives at the dealership, not in your driveway. The Repair Act won't fix everything overnight, even if it passes exactly as written. But it's the first real mechanism with bill numbers and committee votes behind it that could change who gets to hold that key. Your truck. Your money. It should be your call who's allowed to fix it. Sound off in the comments right now. Has your truck ever rejected a part that should have worked? What was it, and what did the fix actually cost you? Every answer in the comments is information for the next owner who hits this same wall. Hit subscribe. Join Truck Truth Q. Because the next video we are going after the towing capacity numbers manufacturers advertise versus what your truck can actually pull safely loaded. That video is coming.